Hello there. I am Lori with Co-Creating Impact and itstimesunshine.com. We are here with our good friend Gina. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So Gina here moved cross country to Colorado, and she is a paramedic, has been for 6 years. And so she's seen the gamut. She's been through it before COVID and then after COVID. So we'd love to hear your story, Gina. What's up?
Oh man, thanks for having me on and asking me to do this. It's such an honor. I really appreciate it. There's not a whole lot of opportunities we get to talk about our stories and what we've been dealing with on the front line
Mhm.
and how much it has changed for us. And it's one of the reasons why I moved to Colorado was to kind of reset because of the craziness that COVID brought. I became a paramedic 6 years ago when I decided that I didn't want to be inside four walls anymore. Um,
Mm.
I knew that from a long time in my career, probably since 2006, I've had this just innate ability to anticipate people's needs and wants and be able to read people very well. And it's become a big asset in my job and why I decided to become a paramedic. Um, Before COVID, I was, you know, we were just living life, running calls just like we always do. You've got your normal stressors that we deal with on a daily basis. Our bad cardiac arrests, pediatric traumas or cardiac arrests. You have your normal wear and tear when it comes with the job. Um, but when COVID hit, it put of mm, a different level of stress that was it was hard to get used to at first. Anytime we picked up a patient that was suspected, we all now went from going on about our day and restocking our trucks to everybody has to decon. You have to take a shower, you have to wash your uniforms, you have to decon your truck, you have to decon all of your equipment. You're 2 hours into that entire process, you go back in service and you're back to running calls. It was hard enough. We don't get lunches. We're lucky if we get a restroom break some days. I've run an entire 24-hour shift without a break.
Mm.
Um, but the level of details that had to go into our daily care and the awareness just heightened everybody. Everybody was on a whole new stress level. Um, and it's been difficult. It's one of the reasons why I got off the truck and I've had to step back.
Now, what did you do? What do you do besides moving to Colorado? That's a big step. What else
That
have you
was,
done to really get through some of these times of stress?
you know, it's one of the things that uh, you see a lot of in our field is a lot of alcohol abuse. And
Mhm.
that's one thing that I have, fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know how you want to look at it. I've not been a big drinker and I've had to find other ways to, deal with what I deal with. My dogs are
Mm.
number one for first and foremost, the biggest distraction.
Oh yeah.
Um, I would like to, I would go to the beach all the time and see my family or, talk to friends, especially my friends that were coworkers that are like family to me. Um, they, breaking down and crying when I needed to cry, taking care of myself and listening to my body
Mm.
and my soul. And that's how I got through it. It's still, it's still, it's still emotional.
It's still very
It's
emotional. Are you able to
It's
go to
not a
therapy?
job.
Yeah.
It's not a job. It's a calling. I didn't
Mm.
choose this, you know. And I do have therapy. I do. I've gone to therapy for spent most of my life in therapy. But I also have a best friend who has a PhD in psychology, and
Mm.
she's such a big help for me. It's good to talk it out, and it's good to talk it out to a third party as well, somebody who doesn't know all the ins and outs, who is a little bit more, subjective to the situation. Um, but she's been there for me on so many levels, and she amazes me because she's on the front line too. She's dealing with the increase of addictions and things like that, because we've seen
Yeah.
that too, increase addictions, and it's not just the addict, it's the families that are going through it as well. So, there's been times when she's had to call me, and I think being there for each other has been the biggest thing. And a lot of people in our field don't talk about their feelings. They like to bury them. They like to drink them away.
Numb
Um,
'em.
and,
Yeah.
and it doesn't go away. You can't bottle it up, because you'll explode, and it's not going to end well for anybody. And that's one reason why I took myself off the truck, is I felt myself getting to a point. The stress was literally making me ill, making me sick, and knowing my limitations, so I can take a step back, take care of myself, so in a couple months I can step back on that truck and help somebody again.
Yeah, we have to fill ourselves up before we can help others. That's
Absolutely.
great that you have that self-awareness, that you're able to remove yourself. What do you do? What are you doing right now while you're resting and providing yourself with self-care?
For the first time in years, I have been able to break out my tools, power tools.
Ooh, what you doing with some power tools?
I have been building stuff. I have a very small apartment, so I'm limited with space, so I have to get creative. I've been posting some of my projects on TikTok, so it's been fun. I've been enjoying it, like just rummaging through old wood and old metal, and just kind of scrummaging through trash and making treasures out of it.
Aw. And that's awesome, just to be able to work with your hands. I know there are some gardeners out there that like to get dirty and feel the passion that comes from just getting into the
Oh,
garden. So
absolutely.
yeah, that's
I can get lost. It's like my paintings, I haven't painting was a big thing for me as well, especially during COVID. I found the painting, and that has been a huge help. And I haven't started back doing that, and I need to. Thanks for the reminder.
well, just another thing to help with your self-care, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
there's never
It's
enough
a
tools
huge,
in our toolbox
no,
for
never.
self-care. Yeah.
Never.
What are your daily essential self-care regimen?
I get up every morning and make myself a cup of coffee and
There you
spend a
go.
few like 10, 15 minutes playing with the dogs in the morning.
Mm.
I've really enjoyed not having to rush every morning and feed the dogs and let them out and then rush them back, because my beagle is going to be 16 in May, and
Aw.
he needs a little bit of extra TLC, a little bit of extra time. I've really enjoyed that. That's what I make time for them in the mornings,
That's
for stuff that
fantastic.
we haven't had time to do. So
Right. So
that's been
what's one piece of advice that you would give somebody who feels their calling is to be on the truck, to be a paramedic?
follow your heart.
Hmm.
You can't go against it, because you're going to end up right back there anyway. And if you go ahead and do it, you'll never second guess yourself. It's a very rewarding job. Stressful, but very rewarding. There are good, funny stories I could tell you, and there are some very sad, gut wrenching stories I could tell you. That's just how life is. Um, you take the good with the bad, and the family that you build within your organization, you're what keep each other afloat. You really are. You notice when something's not right. I've had more people check on me since I've been a paramedic than I've had my entire life,
Mm.
because I've had a friend at work notice that I wasn't acting right or something was off. So, I'd say follow your dreams, follow your gut. It's not for everybody. That's for sure.
Is
There's
it
some
something that
very
you always were a helper as a kid? Like, did you always
I
dream of doing
was.
something like that?
Yes, I was. My mom was a nurse.
Mm.
So, I grew up as that people pleasing child that, I always wanted to take care of everybody else. If somebody was sick, if mom was sick, I was always the nurturer. It's just in me.
Mhm.
As much as I don't want it to be some days, it's it's there. It's like, why do I have to be so caring and nurturing? Urgh!
It's in your nature to be nurturing.
Say, no, I don't want it right now. No.
No. And so you've been doing that for the last 6 years. What did you do prior to being a paramedic?
I was a certified nursing assistant. I
Okay.
like to call it a professional ass wiper.
There you
And
go.
there's nothing wrong with that because everybody needs their hiney wiped, right? Um I learned so much though. And I'm going to tell you what, the nurses, I had some amazing nurses that I worked with that took me under their wing and, taught me. There's so many out there that would get offensive if you asked them a question because they thought you were questioning them, when
Hmm.
in fact you were just asking a question. I was very inquisitive. I want to know why you're doing something. You're doing this because of why. So I guess, I'm kind of like a toddler in a way when it comes to stuff like that because I wanted to know.
Mhm.
And some of the nurses that I had that took me under their wing just really, they taught me what patient care and bedside manners meant.
Mhm. That's
And
beautiful.
that was important.
You guys are the
That is
front lines, man. It's tough, tough work. I don't know how you do it. And what one thing would you change in the paramedic field if you could change one thing?
if I could change one thing. That's a good question. I think what I would like to see changed is the relationship between hospital and pre-hospital staff. I think that they're behind the scenes. There's a lot of puffing chests instead
Mhm.
of patient care. We're not just ambulance drivers, and you're not just a med pusher. Do you know what I mean? Like there should be a
Yes.
mutual understanding. And there are some amazing nurses out there. They know when I walk in that hospital, if every patient that I've brought in has an IV. Period. You don't have to search for one. Like they know what to expect from me, but they also know that if they needed me to help them change a patient, I would take my gloves off and switch my hat and stand there with them bedside and help them take care of that patient if they were shorthanded. Because that's what teamwork means. That's what it takes to take care of patients,
Mhm.
especially sick ones. We're so easy to judge and criticize instead of stepping back and going, somebody just needs a hand right now.
It's so true. And I think that is true in every profession. I think that you start at the very bottom and you work your way up. And that way can have your hand in
Yeah.
everything that's needed. And you just do what's best for the person, for the customer, for the patient, for whatever it is, whatever profession you're in. Let me ask you, what's your favorite cereal?
Cereal. Oh, um, Cookie Crunch.
Oh, Cookie Crunch. Was that your
I
favorite when you were a
love
kid?
Cookie Crunch. Yes. I
Has
can eat
always
that
been.
stuff straight out of the box. Yeah.
Oh,
I've
that's
always loved
awesome.
Cookie Crunch.
Cookie Crunch is always good. Cookies for breakfast, cookies for lunch, cookies for
Cookies are always good, no matter what the time of the day.
and you're loving Colorado
Loving it. In heaven. In absolute heaven.
because you've been for what, a month maybe? Not even.
Not quite a month. I
Yeah.
left North Carolina March 1st.
March 1st. Yeah. And
So
here we are.
technically tomorrow will be my day of leaving, but I will have
Yeah.
been here. I think it's the 6th is my
Okay.
official.
Yeah, and we're recording this on April 1st. So thank you so much,
Thank you
Gina,
so
for
much.
coming on.
I appreciate you so
I
much.
appreciate you. Much love to you, and
Much love.
thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.